Today we are going to go over how to fill out a seller's disclosure notice. This is provided by sellers to buyers to give them information about a home that's listed on the market. For my sellers, I have them complete this before we even put the house on the market, and I include this in the documents section of the MLS. That way, if agents need the information or if buyers need the information, they can get it on the onset. And we don't have to go back and forth asking for it when folks are ready to put in an offer. It is very important that you disclose. Anything that you can think of that you need to put on here, put on here. That way, you don't have the opportunity for litigious action after the fact. If your home is in the floodplain, you need to put that it's in the floodplain. If it's in the floodway, you need to put that it's in the floodway. If there's a serious defect that you know about, if there's a foundation issue, you need to include that on here. That way, everything's out there on the front end. Everyone knows what they're getting. Yes, Texas is a buyer beware state in that your buyers need to do their own inspections. They need to make sure that they get all the information that they deem necessary about the home. But it is important that you are honest and forthright about what condition your home is in. So the first part, you're going to put your address here. It's very important that you know what this says here and that the buyer knows what this says here. This notice is a disclosure of seller's knowledge of the condition of the property as of the date signed by the seller and is not a substitute for any inspections or warranties the buyer may wish to obtain. It is not a warranty of any kind by the seller, seller's agents, or any other agent. You're going to check here whether or not you're occupying the property. If it's unoccupied, how long has it been since the seller has occupied the property? Maybe you've never occupied the property, and in that case, you're going to check here, never occupied the property. So here, these boxes and information here are pretty simple. You're going to check yes, no, or unknown. Sometimes you know answers to these questions and sometimes you don't. Just make sure that you document that to the best of your ability. As you scroll down, you're going to put whether you have central AC, evaporative coolers, go all the way down through here. One thing that I found as I have listed many homes is that on here, you want to really, on this additional information, you want to include as much information as possible because your buyers are going to come back and ask these questions. And so if you have it on the front end, it really reduces the amount of back and forth between you, your listing agent, the buyer's agent, and the buyers. So you're going to put how many AC units you have. You're going to put whether your central AC is gas or electric. If you have a 2-story home and you have 2 condensers, you're going to put here that you have 2 units. And the same thing goes all the way down to the bottom. Specific to your satellite dishes and your controls, are they owned or leased? This is very important. Your security system, is it owned or leased? Is it proprietary from a certain company? In that case, your buyer may have issues with your security system. If it's owned by, say, ADT, and they have to have it monitored by ADT in order to use it, you need to let them know that. This here, is there an underground lawn sprinkler system? Is it automatic or manual? This is very important. Is it a septic system? Is it on-site sewer facility? You have to make sure that you include this form if that's the case. Who is the water supply provided by? The city, a well? Is it a mud district? This is very important because mud districts have an extra tax and your buyers need to know that that is there. Was it built before 1978? If the house was built before 1978, there's an additional document that you need to fill out, which is the seller's disclosure for lead-based paint. So that needs to happen. These are very often attached to listings that are in the Heights and in Oak Forest and Garden Oaks areas. What kind of roof do you have and how old is it? This is really important. Your buyers are going to ask this question, so fill this out and have the information done properly. Is there an overlay roof covering the property? Let your folks know that. Now, this is very important here. Are you, the seller, aware of any items listed in Section 1 that are not in good working condition, that have defects or are in need of repair? If there's items that need to go here, let your buyers know. My suggestion to you as a listing agent is fix everything that you can. Fix everything that you can afford. I know that I have my sellers, if they can, do a pre-inspection so that and a licensed home inspector comes through and they find the defects, they find the items that need to be repaired, and they have them repaired on the front end. This makes your house incredibly much easier to sell. As you scroll down, all of these items here, are there any items that are malfunctioning in any of the following? Fill this out to the best of your ability. Then we get to Section 3 here. Any of these items here, I know specifically for Houston, this part is really important. Is it located in the 100-year floodplain? Is it located in a floodway? Do you have flood insurance coverage? Was there any previous flooding to the structures? All of these items here are going to push another form that needs to be attached. Have there been any previous foundation repairs? It's much better to disclose this information on the front end. This is really important in the Heights. Is there a historic property designation? This makes a huge difference in terms of what your potential buyer can do to the property. So you need to make sure that you have answered this accurately. As we scroll down here, if there's any items that haven't been covered up here, you need to include those in Section 4. In Section 5, these are items that you also need to disclose. Were there any structural modifications or room modifications that were not permitted or that weren't in compliance with building codes? This one here is a biggie. Is there a homeowners association? This makes a huge difference for your buyers. If there's a homeowners association that assesses at $3,000 a year, they may not be able to afford this particular house. It's much better for them to know this on the front end so that it doesn't go under contract and then bust out because you didn't answer this information correctly. Are there any additional facilities that need to be taken into account that will be a financial liability for your buyers? Are there any violations of deed restrictions or governmental ordinances that need to be covered? Are there any lawsuits or legal proceedings directly or indirectly affecting this property? If you're going through a divorce and your home is going on the market, you need to disclose that in the seller's disclosure, because there are elements to that can affect the sale of the property. Is there an heirship issue? Is there a bankruptcy issue? Have you not paid your taxes? This information needs to be disclosed. And my motto is disclose, 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 disclose. Was there an inspection within the last 4 years? If that has happened, then you include that on here. Are there any tax exemptions that you currently claim? This is really important if you have a homestead, and really, really important if you have a tax exemption as a senior citizen, because over 65 in Houston specifically, your taxes are frozen, and so the potential buyer that doesn't get that exemption can really watch their taxes go up the next year that they own the property. Have you, the seller, ever received proceeds from a claim of damage to the property, like an insurance claim? You need to and not use those proceeds to make the repairs for which the claim was made. That needs to be indicated on here. Does the property have working smoke detectors installed? That needs to be included in here. So all of these items you're going to attest to by signing here and printing your name, and then your buyers are going to sign that as well. And this becomes part of the contract. Down here, you can also include your information on what you use for the electric and the phone numbers, so that your buyers have that information as well. I hope this helps.